title is a reference to a Warzone record. And we just sometimes you do a working title for a song, and we've done this a couple of times, and we just can't be bothered to think of an actual name for the song, so we just keep the working title. So it was always called Rev 1, a sort of a silly joke on, or just a reference to that. It's the catalog number for the first Warzone record on Revelation Records.
So there's one interview so far that one guy picked up on that.
Oh, really?
Okay. And
That's
there's
cool.
always a nerd somewhere that goes like, "Oh, is that a reference to?" And you're like, "It's a reference to the Lower East Side Crew 7-inch."
Yeah, I figured it was fun to keep it just this sort of like a dog whistle for like old school hardcore people.
Yeah.
So it's a song that started out as some sort of fun, sort of big beat throwback thing, and then it sort of morphed into this kind of like violent disco banger, I suppose you could call it. And it was based also on a sample by an artist that shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
But the sample was in the song during the whole process of making the song, and then when we finally mastered the record after 6,000 years of working on this album, the day it was on a Monday. On the Tuesday, we got like a straight no, just a no.
Can't use the sample. Can't use it.
Can't use it. And we're like, oh, that's interesting, because this is one of the best songs on the record, and now it's fucked. So yeah, we wrote this new part, and our brilliant friend Mariam, the Believer, who's in this amazing band called Wild Birds and Peace Drums, one of Sweden's best kept secrets. She was like 6 months pregnant in their like vacation, like they have like a cottage in the countryside where they go for the summer. But her and her husband, who are the band Wild Birds and Peace Drums, it's a duo of just the two of them.
It's drums and vocals. We have to accentuate that. It's a weird lineup. It's drums and vocals.
Yeah. They were such pros that they had recording equipment in their summer cottage, so they recorded it. The late song in the process, it was just a riff that Chris had.
Yeah.
And he sort of, sometimes when we write, sometimes the person who comes up with like the music has a lot, and sometimes it's basically just a riff. And this time Chris just had the riff and just some basic idea, and he just recorded it into my computer. And I took it and ran with it, and we bounced back and forth a bit. It was not a song that we ever really played, I think, rehearsed. It was a late song, and there was not a lot of more. We couldn't find time for rehearsal because we were prioritizing time to record, so it was just very much a song that we sort of wrote
in the studio. There's a lot that goes on in that song. There's a lot of different parts in the 3 minute that it exists.
Yes, it's an exciting song.
Yeah, it's an exciting song. It's a song about the rise of like populism politics.
Yeah. Snake oil salesman.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of angle.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's a lot of unexpected turns in that song, which we enjoy doing sometimes.
Yeah. I also think, as far as hardcore references goes, I think there's a UK hardcore band called Violent Reaction.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a Swedish band from the UK. So
cool.
The entire record is then references to other hardcore bands.
Yeah. I like that line, seduced by the charm in a charlatan's arms.
Yeah.
We're poets. We're sensitive as fuck, as Filthy Phil Taylor said once.
Yeah. I want to watch The World Burn is the song on the record that I'd say that's the poppiest song on the record.
Yeah,
It
when we
isn't
played
really
it,
poppy. I mean, it just has a big chorus.
that's a huge chorus.
It's
Yeah.
a huge chorus. Huge chorus.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
It was sort of an ambition that I'd had for a while. That it was interesting to see if we could do that at all, and it would still feel like a Refuse song.
Yeah.
I guess it's up to history to tell us if we succeeded.
Yeah.
But it has I don't know. It has an interesting vibe. I think the riff is odd. It's both straightforward and not straightforward in a very typical fashion. I think, for us.
I also think it's a song that's where every part of the song, the verse is very catchy, and then the bridge is kind of catchy, and the chorus is super catchy, which is quite. There's some good pop song crafting in it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And I mean, so here's another thing.
And also, we've not only gotten better at writing songs, we've gotten very good at complimenting ourselves with age. Which is a muscle you have to really work at. Flex that muscle.
And here's a funny thing,
because where we're from, no one else is going to do it.
And no one's going to compliment us this song. Maybe someone will, but probably not.
But not from where we're from.
No. They might have moved there.
Yeah,
so
someone who moved there could say that's good.
So a fun thing, it's not really intentional, but it's one of those things where when you write and you perform and you have all these ideas. I played in a lot of different bands, and David done a lot of different projects, but there are certain thoughts that kind of like return in what you're doing. So I have a band called Invasion, and our first record is called Hela världen brinner, which is Swedish for the whole world's on fire. And then me and David had a hardcore band together called AC4, and the second AC4 record is called Burn the World. And this one is called I Want to Watch the World Burn. So it's definitely maybe a lack of imagination going on as well.
I think so, yeah. You're running out of ideas.
We're running out of ideas. So we're reusing ideas that I think this is a great idea. No one's ever said this before.
You need to stop watching so much football and read more, Dennis.
Yeah, it's true. So that's that song, I Want to Watch the World Burn.
Blood Red.
Blood Red's the first song that got written for this record.
Yep.
It's like the first, when you write and you decide that like we need to go somewhere, like you need the key to open the door. And I think that Blood Red was that key for this record. I think that Blood Red was a song that like kind of defined the direction that this record went up going. And it's
in a sense, or at least opened like some sort of like, or sometimes you have those transition songs where you write it and then you get the confidence. You feel like, this is something, and you get the confidence to keep going.
Yeah.
Those songs you usually don't end up using. You usually toss them out. But this time around, that song actually turned out great.
Yeah.
It was there was some ambition from Christopher. I think that he wanted sort of the chorus to feel like Hell's Bells. The easiest one. That song is no laughing at.
No. But I didn't know that this was the ambition.
Oh right, yeah.
Of the song.
He was just talking about that early on. Like it should have that kind of feel, and that's how that chorus came about.
Yeah, Blood Red. Hell's Bells. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's good. It's a good reference.
But I like it's bouncy. It's sort of like I think it's sort of happy and bouncy. That song.
Yeah. The lyrics are not so happy.
The lyrics are actually sort of covertly propagating like the violent obliteration of the 1%.
It's not covertly. We're just saying that in the lyrics.
Yeah. Okay. It's not.
Yeah. It's not covertly at all. But yeah, and it's funny. We made a video for this song, which is like a weird. I mean, we've been a band for a long time. We started in the winter of 1991, and we want to make a video that showed like the history of our bands. There's definitely a video for this song where I'm dancing in baggy pants. Yeah, it's like a reference to the baggy pants era. David, when we started the band, and it was for like a minute. It wasn't that long of a period. It was like a short period of time where baggy pants in hardcore was a thing. And you couldn't afford baggy pants, so you took your mom's big pants.
My mom had gone on a diet and she lost weight, and I just so the bigger pants she used to have, but they had like strange details of like like sewing.
They didn't
like,
look cool. Well, the baggy pants didn't look cool either, so it wasn't like it was a lose situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some footage in the video of us wearing outfits that maybe not very complimentary for.
Yeah, they'll come back.
I think it is back.
It is back.
I think it is.
I don't go out,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's one of the reasons. I don't want to see fucking baggy pants.
Fuck you and your baggy pants. You come to our show in baggy pants. We'll fucking show you the door. This is maybe my favorite track on the record.
I know.
Yeah. One of the things when we started the band in the early 90s, David was a great drummer already, fully formed drummer. And when we got Chris in the band, he was such a great guitar player. Magnus, who played bass, a great bass player. I didn't really have that confidence, so a lot of what I did was just like, I'll just be the guy that goes crazy, and then I'll also be the guy that books the shows and gets the record done, so you can't fire me, because then you will have no touring happening. So I became that guy, and then over the years I learned how to sing, and I think for me, like, this record is like to be able to use my voice as an instrument where we can have different variations of my voice over the course of the record is for me a great victory, I would say. And I think Malfire is one of those songs where you can hear the range of my vocals.
Yeah.
And it makes me very it's making me a bit proud of myself, actually.
Yeah. No, it's the record in general. You've never sung this good or screamed this well on any recording ever.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it took. We had to stay away for 14 years for you to learn to do your fucking job.
Yeah, no, I had to work for 14 years to get in shape,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Malfire is a funny song. It was a good riff that we had for a long time, and we tried it out in different versions, and all the versions were pretty good. But it ended up actually with Chris just cutting up together with Martin Cooney, Erin Krona, who mixed the record. They actually reimagined the song in the studio. So the version that's on the record, we never actually played it like that. They just finally made that version, and when they sent it to me, I was like, it's one of those moments where it's just like totally locked in. And the versions before that had been good were just
there's definitely a version before with some hip hop drums and some auto-tune vocals.
Yeah.
I played it, my girlfriend looked at me and she's like, nope. Delete. I'm like, what? That's pretty cool. She's like, nah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it turned out great. It was one of those very satisfying moments.
Yeah.
You finally get there.
There's a bridge part in the song. It definitely just sounds like Dio.
Which one?
All right, yeah. The guitar riff on that part definitely just sounds like a Dio song.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Turn across, upside down.
So in a perfect world, you're listening to this record on vinyl.
Yes.
So Turn the Cross is the first song on the B-side. And the B-side has a different tone than the A-side.
Yeah.
I think the A-side is where we're like, okay, here's the shops of like, look how good we are at songwriting. And then the B-side is like, now we're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And I think
now we're gonna straddle you and stab your eyes with forks.
And Turn the Cross opens up the B-side in a quite violent fashion. And it's
Turn the Cross to me is with, in my mind, no doubt it's the best song we've ever made.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah. I mean, I understand how like New Noise is like a huge song and it's very exciting and all that stuff, and there's other songs that are strong, but this song is just, to me, it's just the best thing I've ever been involved in.
I think that because there's so many drum fills on it.
That's part of it.
It's a very busy songs on the drums.
Yeah, but it just has something that's very rare these days. It has some of that Bonded by Blood, Exodus, this intensity, this
That's
craziness.
a good reference,
I love this song.
Yeah.
It's about the Sweden Democrats.
Yeah, the rise of
populism in
yeah, neo-fascist and the alt-right.
and how we want some of that old 90s just walking up and punching them in the face stuff. going on. If you hear this, you're a weapon, it's like the end of the song. It's a way of saying like, let's go, let's fuck it.
I mean, also, I think if you hear this, you're a weapon, it's a reference to the fact that anyone that listens to the music can change.
Yeah.
And they can change their surroundings, and they can become a political person.
I
And
stole that from one of the first Pussy Riot missives that they sent out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you hear this, you're a weapon.
That
if you're
is-
reading this, you're a weapon.
That
They
is
wrote.
awesome. And also, Pele from the Hives is singing on this song.
Yes.
I don't think I don't think he knows
He
what he got himself into.
He showed up in the studio on his
40th birthday.
dressed to the nines.
Yeah,
Like
he looked immaculate.
it was a very hot day
He
in
had a blue
Stockholm.
suit on.
Yeah.
Just looked
We
perfect.
were all in like t-shirts and shorts, and he was just like.
I was
looked
not in t-shirt and shorts.
No, of course you weren't.
You were.
I was.
Okay.
You looked like that.
I looked like
You
this.
always look like
Yeah.
But you look like that mid-coitus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he showed up dressed to the nines and just sang the shit out of that end part. It was great.
Yeah.
We never speak.
So, to reference back to you know, like Rev 1 and Violent Reaction, Damage 3 is
Preceded by Damaged 1
One
and
and
Damaged
Damaged
2,
2.
but we did not
we
make
didn't
those
not
songs.
write those songs. Black
They're
Flag
on-
wrote those songs.
They're on the album Damaged
Yeah.
by Black Flag.
And
It was a
this-
fun reference. I mean, we just sing Damaged in the chorus, and it felt like a fun reference because I sort of felt it's a song is about toxic masculinity, and partly about how I mean everyone experiences patriarchal oppression. As a man, you don't experience it anywhere in the ballpark, like even close to the way women do it, but you still experience it growing up. But when I experienced it growing up, I realized that those patriarchs oppressing me, I was supposed to become them. They were not supposed to be my enemy. They were like supposed to be role models for me. I
Yeah.
was going to be an oppressor, and this chain that runs through history of these big industry magnates and presidents and leaders
Generals.
of men who accepted that, who saw those patriarchal oppressors and decided I will become one of them and got good at it. They all got better and better and worse, and it's a huge part of the problems that we have in the world today.
It's a huge part of male identity. Like
Yeah.
like when you grow up, you see the world, and as you said, like the role models that we have are mostly horrible.
Yeah.
And there's all these rules and expectations as a man of what you're supposed to become and what you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we wanted to write a song about that because whenever you talk about feminism and when you talk about patriarchal systems, I mean, we need to do it from the perspective of men because we are men, and you know, we grew up as men. We got conditioned to be men. So whenever we talk about this, we want to talk about it from a male perspective to other men.
Yeah.
You know, what does this mean? What are these roles and expectations
Yeah.
mean to us?
Yeah.
And I never felt comfortable. I never ever felt comfortable being the man that I was supposed to be. That's why I look the way I look.
Yeah. But even you can work on yourself forever,
Yeah.
but you're still not going to get very very far. I mean,
Very
the type
good.
of feminists who realized a long time ago that I'm not ever going to be totally free of these bad habits, these because it's such a deep structure.
Yeah,
It's
and
such
they've been conditioning us for a long
Yeah.
time. I mean, even if you theoretically think like, oh, I'm a feminist, I believe in feminism. A lot of the you know, inherited structures is something that's with you for life.
It's
you know?
almost
Yeah.
it seems almost impossible not to engage in homosociality, to pass the word to other men, and to talk over women, even if you really, really don't want to.
Yeah.
But you did it from when you were a child, and you were encouraged to it until you became a feminist for
Yeah.
real at like 22 or something. I lived in a feminist collective at I was older, 23, 24
Yeah.
was when it really struck me. But anyway,
But
the song is
anyway.
about that, and it references these two Black Flag songs, because I feel like Henry Rollins on those records, and in his writing, and was struggling with masculinity issues, and I also think that his Greg Ginn's relationship was an example of very toxic male relationship.
Yeah. What about the actual song though?
It's a funk whooper from the hands of Christopher Steen, our magnificent guitar player.
Whenever we talk about funk, I feel slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah, but the French love it. They're like, I like the new record. It's so funky. It's so groovy.
I know. The French.
It is funky. We're a
they're
funky
crazy.
band.
Are we?
Yeah, I'm a funky drummer.
All right. Yes. Clyde Stubberfield.
Yeah,
David Sandstrom.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the annals of drum history.
I was born from chaos.
Venice is a small town that's 30 kilometers outside of Umeå, where we formed. And Venice is a small town where I grew up, where it's like 8,000 people live there, and it's known for meat. And every like 6 years, there's a mob that tries to run immigrants out of the town. That's kind of what we're known for. And that's where I grew up. It's a fucking weird.
Yeah, it's a
place.
smidge of feces on a hair in the anus of Sweden.
Yeah, and I grew up there.
But it's
So-
pronounced exactly like Venice, Italy.
Yeah.
So
And
we thought
Venice
it was
Beach,
a funny.
It's the same, yeah.
It's a funny title, because it references Thomas Mann, which not a lot of contemporary hardcore reference Thomas Mann.
Really?
Yeah. But it's
Interesting.
there's a story of a Japanese couple who were tourists in Europe, and they were, I don't know where they were.
They were in Stockholm.
They were in Stockholm,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. And they bought tickets to Venice. They wanted to go to Venice, Italy. But
And they ended
the
up in
person
my
at the counter
hometown.
gave them tickets to Venice in the north of Sweden.
Imagine the
It
disappointment.
was a night train, and they woke up next morning, and it was just like, what is this?
Yeah. This is where's the water? Where's, the
If
wine.
you'd laugh if you've been there. It's a cruel joke to play on someone.
Yeah, but so it's a song about growing up at a place like that and what it does to you. And like, I think for me, it gave me a lot of character. It definitely strengthened me. But it was weird growing up, and everybody wanted to fight me, and everybody felt like, because I became a punk early on, and then they were not impressed.
Yeah.
But then it also, it strengthens you, it gives you character, and then
Yeah, and it's
all
also
that-
about
yeah.
once you set out on a path where you're rejecting the mainstream, or finding an underground music scene and reading other books than the people that you went to school with or whatever are reading, then you add 30 years to that. Suddenly you're just in this place where there's no turning back. Like you can't actually, you have no idea how to talk to
To those people.
to those people anymore. You can't rejoin actual society anymore.
No, I'm done.
And you're just this
Fucked.
freak, like disconnected artist freak who's just on the outside looking out.
Yeah.
So that's what that song's about.
Rise up.
The infamous left.
The infamous.
Infamous.
Infamous. The infamous left.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny song. It's sort of celebrating the people who came before, who fought for the rights that we take for granted, but it's also attacking a certain of our generation, mainly that frustrates us. These really bright, promising leftists who either went into like that sort of mini utopia, squat, like riot culture, or went into the into academia and never came back. They just disappeared into books and disappeared from the struggle. So it's sort of like we're sort of taunting them, making fun of them, but also praising the heroes of the past in the same song.
It's a weird thing to be a part of the left. I mean, we have a lot of tradition where, we've been a part of the left for our entire lives, basically.
Part of lefts,
Part of lefts.
I would say.
Yeah. So it's a weird thing because the tradition is really strong, and you have a lot of reference point backwards that you can look at, and a lot of the stuff that we take for granted today, with like women's right to vote, or 8 hours working day, and you know the vacations
Daycare.
and holiday care. It's people actually fought and died for that. People broke the law. People stood up against authority and said, you know, we've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And they actually fought in the street to make these changes happen. And that's a tradition that we're a part of. But it seems like lately the left for the past 20 years has just been reacting to capitalism. It hasn't provided a proper alternative. It hasn't said, you know, like why are all these people joining like these populist movement or the right-wing movement, and instead of like finding a real solution to that, an answer to that, you know, we sort of react to capitalism. So it's a song about that too, and it's like how do you build a different world when we've been taught that this is everything that we have. But it's a very violent song.
Yeah, when it was done, I told Chris I thought it reminded me of something that could have been on like Songs to Fan the Flames of Discontent,
Yeah.
which was our second full length. He agreed that it has a vibe of that.
It has that energy,
Yeah.
that relentlessness, and the riff is just like, it just never stops.
Yeah,
It's just one of those riffs that never stops.
yeah. It's a
Good.
economy of death.
So you know what that's about.
Yeah,
We don't need to say anything more about that. It's about
war
the
for
economy.
profit.
Yeah.
It's an old theme in the genres that we sprung out of.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs about this.
Yeah.
Discharge, wrote a couple.
Napalm Death, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dead Kennedys.
Dead Kennedys, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love this song. It's a really, really powerful metal banger.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like there's a simplicity to it. It's a tricky simplicity, both in the approach of the lyrics and the approach of the music, because it's so it's very primitive.
Yeah,
Like the primitive in the way we attack the song, like the way we play it, and it's it's almost primitive in the way like we just repeat like the phrase "economy of death" over and over again,
Yeah.
and different aspects of late capitalism and what it does, and
it's built on a riff from Matthias,
yeah,
who's only been in the band for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
4 years, 5 years. The latest addition to the band,
Yeah.
and which is great. And he wrote this really fucking cool riff, and it ends with the phrase "You're so fucked." That's
that's
the last word on the record.
You're
So it leaves you with this warm feeling in your stomach. Hope going forward. Hope. You know.
I do think there's a lot on the record that speaks to hope, and there's a lot on the record that speaks to the possibility,
Yeah.
the idea of
But I liked-
of a brighter future. This is not one of those songs.
No, and it felt
No.
right to finish there.
Yeah.
Not leave people with a sense of hope, because that's not
Could
where you
inspire
should-
them to change the world.
Revolution!